Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's start with a COVID update. So I had 10 days of COVID. Fever, chills, well, feverish, chills, cough, sneezing, and then a terrible headache and a throat that felt like strep throat. But thankfully, that's all over. So we can move on. With Vinyl Tags 2022, at the beginning of every year in the vinyl community, there's often a number of questions put forward, and people will show albums that match those, that answer those questions. And this year, there seem to have been two competing question or groups of questions posed, and I'm just going to follow what Mazzy did. After all, he's the inspiration for my channel, and I will take his questions. He sort of took some from each and came up with 20 questions. So I'll run through those. So the first is favorite album purchased in 2021. So I'm going to choose XTC Non-Such. I've had this on CD for a long time, but the vinyl that came out in at the time is kind of crazy expensive, so I own a copy of that. I really like this record. It's really good. It's got a lot of great songs on it. Next question or next item is show the record you spent the most on in 2021. Well, to be honest, I didn't actually feel like I bought a lot of records in 2021 because I was sort of isolating like everyone else. Although I did go to record stores a few times. So I would say the one that I spent the most on was this, the comeback special, live at the Royal Albert Hall. And only because it's there's three records in here. That's probably why it was more than usual. But I think it's a good package. The with Matt Johnston. I saw the trying to think back on the Mind Bomb tour, so it might have been 90. Well, I'm not going to get the date right, but whatever the Mind Bomb tour was when he was touring with Johnny Marr, I saw that tour in Toronto. Thought it was pretty good. So next one is album by the first person or band you saw live. So I'm going to have to really show two things because there's often an opening act. And I will say that I had seen other concerts before this, but I wouldn't call them professional. There was a band in my hometown that played a concert. It was kind of a big deal, but they never had a record. So the first real concert I went to in a real arena, it was like a hockey arena, was were three groups together. The first was a band called the Pumps, probably a little known Canadian band from Winnipeg. The headline act was a band called Prism. So I still have the records from back in the day. This is one of the Prism records I've had. They were known for really two songs, I guess, Spaceship Superstar and a track called Armageddon. Probably an unremarkable Canadian band. They were kind of popular at the time, and I don't know. Unless you're Canadian, you probably have never heard of this band. But for me, the reason I wanted to go was for the middle act. The band that came on second was a band called FM. So FM, really the two main members were Cameron Hawkins and a guy called Nash the Slash. That was his solo name. He's known. His real name is Jeff Pluman. So he was known as Nash the Slash in this band. You can see him there. Although in 1979, he started wearing a face covering, really surgical bandages wrapped around his face, and he put out a series of solo records. Unfortunately, he died a few years ago, but he had some other notoriety. He opened for Gary Newman many times over the years. So an interesting story with that is I once went out to a Halloween event at a pub in my undergrad, and I was still underage, but I dressed as Nash the Slash, meaning I put surgical bandages all over my face, and no one asked to see ID or question my age, even though because they couldn't see who I was anyway. So FM, the song on this album. If you don't know any FM songs, you should look up Phasers on Stun. It's on here. It's a fantastic sort of poppy, progressive kind of song. It's pretty cool, instrumental. It's great. Next, show a record from a band or new artist that you got into in 2021. So, I would say Fontaine's DC. Of course, they've been around for a while. Their first album came out in 2019, I think. I kind of ignored it. I heard the name many times. I didn't really I didn't really follow up with that. I didn't really think too much about it. I didn't even know if I heard any songs, but this. Then I started watching some videos, and I sort of really decided I like this band. This is on clear vinyl. They have a new record out now, I think, or the pre-order's out now. So I think this is a really good band from Ireland. I would recommend them if you don't know Fontaines DC. This is a great record. Let's see. Album in the shrink. Okay, so I have a few albums that I haven't taken the shrink wrap off for one reason or another. Either there's maybe a hype sticker on it or something. So I pulled this out because, well, I think it's kind of interesting. This is The Clash. And it's still in the shrink. Not only that, it has the price. So $6.99 marked down to $4.99. Now that's an incredible price. I know if you did the inflation calculator, this is giving them enough rope, by the way. It probably worked. I don't know. I should actually calculate what that is, but it's $4.99 for a record. Back in the day. This is a good record too. I'm sure everybody knows this record. The Clash. Okay, next. Show a record you love but haven't given much love to of late. So this is a band. This is an album that I played to death. Hold Steady, Boys and Girls in America. This is the deluxe issue, so it has some bonus tracks and some demos. This is fantastic. I really love this record. I used to play it every time I went in the car somewhere. I had this CD with me, so I played it a lot. But just for whatever reason, you listen to other things, and I haven't really, paid much attention to it really recently. But it's fantastic. I really like it. A live album. Well, there's a lot to choose from. I just picked the first one I thought of. If I can find it now. Yep. So I just picked this one because, I'm a Velvet Underground fan. So this is a original Canadian pressing of Live at Max's Kansas City, Velvet Underground. It's a good record. This, of course, is after John Cale departed, so it's Lou Reed and the two Yule brothers and Sterling Morrison. Album from a different continent. So when I read that, I didn't know if it meant an album that was pressed in a different continent or if it was an album of an artist from a different continent. So there's a lot of choices you could have made here, but I chose Plastic Bertrand. He's from Belgium. Kind of I guess you'd call this new wave. Upside down, new wave. I guess the song here that people might know is Ça Plane pour moi. Skip the question. Concept album. Well, I guess you couldn't be Canadian without choosing a Rush album. So 2112. These great costumes on the back. I'm sure everyone knows this record. Concept album. Show the most out of your comfort zone record that you got in the past year. So I'm gonna pick this album from a band called Controlled Bleeding from Massapequa, New York. This album's called Body Samples. This is a industrial, sort of a harsh industrial. I have some other things from this band, and the only reason I got it was because it was essentially so cheap I couldn't turn it down. It was like $4. It's a double album. There are some things in here that are a little more melodic, but there's some really harsh, sort of aggressive sounds that aren't really pleasing at all. So it's funny, there's a few tracks intermixed with it that I like, but this is sort of a difficult listen, and you might want to be careful before you put this on. All right. Punk or new wave record? All right, so I chose, there's so many because I have a lot of punk and new wave records, but I chose XTC White Music, and the reason I chose that is because, as I recall, or as I've read, there was this issue of what to call this kind of music that came after punk, and the term new wave had been thrown around a lot, and Andy Partridge from XTC thought that was kind of silly, and so he wrote a song that's on here called This Is Pop. So this is not new wave, this is pop. He didn't like the label that was being given to this music, so I chose that one because obviously it's new wave, but it's pop. So that's what I chose. All right, a jazz album. So first one I picked off the shelf is Miles Davis. There's others that I could have chosen. Miles Davis and the Modern Jazz Giants with Thelonious Monk, Milt Jackson, and John Coltrane. I'm not sure this is the best pressing of this record. It came in 1959. This is the Back to Black version. So it may not be the best pressing, but there we go. Soundtrack. So again, a lot I could have chosen. I picked up, this is Less Than Zero, a book that I have read. So this book I have read. I have never seen the film. It has no writing on, except for the legal stuff on the bottom. It has no writing on the front or back. The only indication is on the spine. This is a really eclectic record. It's mostly produced by Rick Rubin. Has everything from LL Cool J and Public Enemy to more sort of rock things like Aerosmith on Def Jam. So going back to Cali, I guess is probably the song that LL Cool J that you probably know. Bangles are on here. Joan Jett. So it's a pretty strange collection. I guess someday I should see the film. Right. Soundtrack. Album with no writing on the jacket. Well, I just showed one, but the first thing that occurred to me when I read that is Stranglers, 1978. No writing on the front, at least. On the back, Stranglers is the black and white record. Fantastic. Really like this record. Black and white. I think this is a really effective cover. It's black and white. It's called Black and White. Really good photography. I think this is great. Okay, so colored vinyl album. Again, there's, that used to be sort of a niche thing, I think. And when I was a kid, if you got a colored record, it was very interesting. And now there's just so many, and it's hard to keep up. But I chose Rheostatics. Again, if you're not from Canada, you may not know this band. They're from Etobicoke, which is technically a part of Toronto now. It's to the west of where I live. A very interesting band, write a lot of Canadian themes. This is the Brave New Wave session. It was recorded in 1988, but never released until, I think, 2017. There's a couple versions of this. One is on the standard black vinyl, and then there's this one, which is on this blue vinyl. It's pretty cool. I like it. So, Show Your Pride dig of 2021. That's a tough one, as I didn't do a lot of in-store shopping, but I'm gonna say Wire. This is PF 456 Deluxe. Now this was released in 2003 on 12-inch vinyl. This is the deluxe version, the reissue that comes on two 10-inch records. So there's one here, one at the end, plus a bonus 7-inch single. Those tracks were not on the previous release. This is a limited edition, and in the middle it has, it's essentially a hardcover book, so lots of photos and text about the band in this release. So I think this is pretty cool. And the best thing is I didn't pay anywhere near the going rate. I think when it came out it was $70 or $80, but I paid like a fraction of that. Found it in a bin somewhere, a store had, I guess, maybe had too many, couldn't get rid of them. So this is great. I really like this band. I think this is kind of a cool thing to have. Show a record from a band from the past that you totally bypassed until recently. Okay, that's easy. So the War on Drugs is a band. I heard about this band, and of course I know some of the tracks now. But when they came out, I just sort of didn't really pay attention at all. I was like, I heard of them, but I sat down one day and just listened to a lot of videos and watched a few videos and decided that they're really cool. So I have a few things from them now. I think they're really great. I'm not even sure what you would classify the music as, but I think it's great. So if you don't know this band, I would recommend it. Let's see. Show a box set. Okay, that's easy. So this is a box set I got. I'm not sure when I got it. Husker Du, Savage Young Du. This is also, I picked this because I think it's really well done. It comes with quite a large hardcover book that goes through has lots of photos and text about the band. This is the band that I'm sure you all know this. Bob Mould's band, Grant Hart and Greg Norton. So it has four discs in here. Everything Falls Apart. The alternate version of Land Speed record. Amusement. And some other bonus tracks and things. I think it's it has some interesting demo and live versions. So it's all, interestingly, it's all black and white, unlike all of the original ones. Some of them were, but not all of them were. So I think that's a pretty cool set. Show your favorite, coolest cover out of 2021, or that you got into that year. So there's a lot I could have chosen. I mean, that's pretty cool. But I'll choose another Canadian band. Godspeed You, Black Emperor. I think this is pretty cool. This is the back. It's hard to see exactly what's going on there. It's very minimal. In this package is a 12-inch record plus a second disc, which is a 10-inch record. 10-inch record. I think the packaging is pretty cool. It's a little insert as well. So I think that's pretty cool. There's so many that I could have chosen, but I stuck with this one. And the last one is show a record you got as a present or a VCLT. Well, obviously no VCLT because I haven't been here that long. And I actually did not get any records as gifts this year. So instead of the 20 records, it's 19 because I did not get any gifts this year. So that's fine. No judgment. It's just one of those things. All right. Thanks for watching.